Well, I'm looking at the events in at least the United States, maybe not the world this week, and also in the events of Sravasti Abbey this week. And following up a bit on Venerable Children's talk yesterday, I've really been thinking a lot about the factors of dependent arising. How important it is to remember that this is how things come to be. So I went back to just to His Holiness the Dalai Lama as a source. And he says, and he cites first the Dependent Origination Sutra, where the Buddha himself said, if there is this, that ensues. Because this came into being, that came into being. And then the Buddha continues from there to explain the 12 links of dependent arising, talking about how samsara goes on. But His Holiness then explains that in other words, and this is really what we need to think about, in other words, for a particular event or experience to take place, there must be a cause. The cause itself must be existent, and that cause will be an effect of a preceding cause. Right? If it's not itself a product, then it will lack the potential or capacity to produce a result. So the cause itself has to be a product of another cause. Cause creates a result, which creates which becomes a cause, creating another result, on and on and on and on and on. And not only that, he says, the cause must also correlate to the effect. So it's not true that just anything can produce anything, but certain causes lead to certain types of effects. So when Venerable Children was speaking about Hillary Clinton's acceptance speech for the presidential nomination yesterday, I want to go back to that, how much Hillary Clinton at that time was talking about how we need to create the causes for the kind of world we want to live in, is if I could reduce it to a sentence. And it takes all of us creating those kinds of causes together. If we want to live in peace, if we want to live in harmony, if we want to end violence, then we need to create the causes for that together. And, you know, in that same vein, I've been thinking about the causal chain that even brought a woman to be able to make that speech as a person receiving the nomination to lead a major party as a candidate for the President of the United States. Victoria Claflin Woodhull was the first woman to run for president in the United States in 1872. Do you know who her running mate was? Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, one of the earliest and still revered black statesmen, who was born in slavery, became educated, continued to educate himself, and became one of the leaders of the abolitionist movement and a strong spokesperson for women's suffrage as well. That is 144 years, my friends. I even pulled out the calculator to make sure my math was right. 144 years. So she was not a major party ticket. She was on something called I didn't write it down, something like the Freedom for Everybody ticket. And they hardly got they got no electoral votes. But that's beside the point from here, looking at a causal chain that brought about a result that we'll see where it goes, right? We don't know. But in the same way then, I'm thinking about the Abbey. I'm looking here at a room full of probably 30 people, maybe. And it's true that every single being, every single contribution creates this monastery to grow and continue and for the Dharma to grow in the world. Same thought, same sequence. Causes produce results which become causes which go. And now we're taking it, although it's still at a worldly level, if I talk about the Abbey and 300 acres and 15 present residents and blah, blah, blah. But we're also taking it out of the realm of this world and looking at the causes we're creating for our own future. It's the same principle. And so we can say, where did the Abbey come from? Well, you can say, well, Venerable Children started it. It's her karma. I've blamed it on her and appreciation for her karma before. And she repeatedly says, no, it's not just one person. It's the karma of all the people who come here. And sometimes I've heard her say that, and I've thought, oh yeah, the residents all have their karma. But it's not just that. It's like, it is everybody sitting in this room today. It's everybody who will ever watch this video. It's everybody who's helped to make this video. I just want to go through, I looked at this week alone. This week alone, 7 days. Lene came with her 3-year-old, wishing to teach her about the Dharma. She wants her to grow up with the Dharma. So she came with her 3-year-old to introduce her to the Buddha. Venerable Jinker and Jendi arrived, who have had a long-term relationship with Venerable children and a long-term, roles in the Dharma, bring their wisdom, bring all they could to influence everybody that was here. Cindy Cilio put them in the car and drove them up from Spokane. Cindy also made this beautiful offering and then showed up for class Monday night in Spokane, by the way. Marissa was here, she left, but she offered service the whole time that she was here. Susan Mitchell came for just a few hours, did some sessions in the hall, worked in the garden, also is doing our bookkeeping all the time. Venerable Children returned from teaching in Southern California, where she taught to lots of people. Sherry drove her. Bill came up to drive the nuns back to Spokane. Cynthia arrived. Venerable Yeshi returned from her retreat where she had beautiful experiences. Roger drove her and served her throughout the whole thing. Alejandro arrived. We already had guests coming for Exploring Monastic Life. Today, all of these people are here to offer service. I mean, it's uncountable. That is 1 week. Not to mention all the people outside of the Abbey who are working on the website, who are working on Venerable Children's website, we can't begin to even name the causes and conditions that bring about what we think of as Sravasti Abbey. And although there's a nucleus or a center here of a physical place and some people who hold the energy of that, it's not just that. It's so much bigger than that. So years ago, when Lama Zopa Rinpoche was here, he talked about how the Abbey brings skies full of benefit to sentient beings. That's what he said. Because they can meet the Buddha Dharma and hear Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings here. One cause after another, after another, after another. And this is exactly how we become Buddhas. Same process. So it's so inspiring and heartening to think that whatever little bit, and I can really certainly get down on how paltry my contribution is and how piddly my practice is, but that's just nomtok. Every single moment that our minds and hearts are headed in the direction towards wishing to benefit others, to cultivate our good qualities. And, it's how fortunate that we have the Abbey as a basin in which we can do that work. And also how fortunate we see that as together, the influence of that force can be enormous. So today, as we rejoice in all the people here offering service, whether you're in the garden or making malas or thinking about the inmates who will be doing prayers on those malas that you guys are stringing, think about both the causal chain from whence we have come, and also that it doesn't stop in this moment. It's constantly moving forward. And so as we move forward, we can rejoice and really dedicate the merit of all that we're doing here today. And wish that same skies full of merit, of benefit for everyone. And steadily stay the course, however long it takes, that in this way we become fully enlightened beings for the benefit of everyone to achieve the same.